How's it going, everybody? Sorry, I was hoping to have this video out yesterday, but things happened, just didn't happen that way. But this is kind of a video that I wanted to do to follow up on my previous Dynasty Warriors 3 video, where there was a lot of discussion in the comments about the dub, and this has been kind of a conversation in a lot of videos for Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered. A lot of people wanting the original dub, and a lot of people hoping that it changes. This is just kind of a more detailed video than what I would text out in a comment, which is really why I'm making this. Now, this video is not to convince you that my opinion is right. Okay, I'll be clear with that up front. Okay, this video is not trying to tell you why I think you should think what I think. It's just my opinion based on what I want for this game. I'll also preface that, especially if you're watching this who haven't seen some of my other Dynasty Warriors videos, I've been a fan since Dynasty Warriors 4. That was the first game I played growing up. Played 4 and 5, went back, played 2. Because I thought it was 4 when I rented it, and it wasn't. And 3 I never really played until recently. I'm starting to play through it before the remastered comes out. So the nostalgia that I have for 4 and 5 is not there for 3 that many of you are going to have. So take this with a grain of salt of what I say. Now, that being said, that puts this video into a perspective of somebody who loves the series but isn't nostalgic for that game. Okay, there's a lot of people who are going to have opinions about this game who maybe joined with 6 or 7 or 8 or 5, or this is going to be their first one, you know, who may have opinions because they've seen online what it sounded like before. But this is just my opinion, okay? I think it's important to note when it comes to should this game have the original dub or be re-recorded. And we're going to get into kind of not a whole pros and cons, but kind of a pros and cons of each for me of what I'd like to see. But before we do that, okay, I just want to show this article real quick. This is what I saw a long time ago. This is 4 months ago, of the producer Tomohiko Sho discussing the Dynasty Warriors Origins DLC in Dynasty Warriors 3. Now down here we talk about voice acting and music updates. Now according to this article, it says the remaster includes significant updates to voice acting and audio quality. The original Chinese voice acting was incomplete and the translation quality didn't meet modern standards, so the team re-translated the Chinese text and re-recorded the voices. For other languages, the voices were not re-recorded, but the quality has improved. In the original version, due to the storage limitations, both music and voices were compressed. Now that storage limitations are reduced, we can use files closer to the original recordings, Sho explained. Okay, now I'll have a link to that article in the description. You can take a look at that for yourselves. Now here's the thing, the game was delayed indefinitely. We don't know a new date. This could change, okay? They may make a decision behind the scenes to send it out and have it redubbed again. I don't know. But let's talk about, so for those of you who want the original dub, congratulations, you're probably going to be happy with that. Let's talk about this from just my perspective a little bit, okay? Because I think both sides have a pretty good argument for what this game should be. And nostalgia is a thing, okay? Nostalgia is an important thing that a lot of people like to discredit it as not a valid reason for something, but it is. Okay, that's how you feel. That's something that's tapped into your emotions, that's stuck with you for years, right? It's the way you felt back when you played this and you listened to it for the first time, right? It does change things, okay? You know, with this game having the original dub, you look at some of the pros, right? It's going to appeal to a lot of fans of the franchise, right? Who played this game when it came out, right? It's going to be very nostalgic for the original fans of this game. Reliving kind of those cheesy voice dialogues, you know, those cheesy voice lines in English, right? This is the early days of English of voice acting, right? So you're not going to get as professional voice acting as we would many years later down the line. And even 4, 5, 6, it kept getting better in Dynasty Warriors as it went on. Even 4 and 5 have its problems with voice acting, you know. But this was also a game where a lot of these, and I don't even know if any of the actors who voiced these characters went on to voice them in later games. I'm not sure, but I know a lot of the voice cast that we know and love from Dynasty Warriors 8, 7, 6, you know, kind of the modern cast. A lot of those guys started joining in around the 4 and 5 title. I think Terrence Stone took over Zhao Yun in 4. I believe it's Douglas Rye is his name. I think he took over Cao Cao in 5. And a lot of the characters started to trickle. Oops. Didn't mean to smack the hell out of my mic. A lot of characters trickled, or a lot of voice actors started trickling in that we know and love from the series from modern games pre-9, right? Kind of that 5 through 8 was kind of the era of the voice actors we mostly associate with Dynasty Warriors. You know, so there's gonna be issues with that voice acting, right? Part of it being that makes it so cheesy, right, is a lot of these voice actors are probably just, you know, they're just speaking, right? They're just saying things like, hey, go voice a line in a game. Okay, cow, 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 go and kill these enemies, you know, whatever, right? It's just like, you're not going to get a very professional, you know, performance like you would many years later as voice acting in video games became more prominent and a serious, you know, a serious job, right? So for the nostalgic fans of this game, right, the people who grew up playing it, right, you're used to these voices. Maybe you laughed at them, maybe you thought they were really bad back then, I don't know, but they're part of the experience for you of this game. And the question really is, does the original dub add to the game? Does it make it better? Does it make it stay the same? Or does it make it worse, right? And that question is going to change depending on who you ask. I think for those fans, it's part of the game. It's a remaster of that game. It's part of the experience as a whole. So it's kind of the same, you know, keeps it the same, right? There's no way it doesn't make the game better, in my opinion. Even for nostalgic fans, I don't think the dub enhances the product, the original dub. Okay, and that kind of goes into, if you're talking to new fans or people like me who are old fans of the series, new to this title, it doesn't make it better. It doesn't. And I think new fans, if this was the first you know, somebody jumped, hey, I had a buddy that talked about Dynasty Warriors 3. This is a remaster. I'm gonna go check it out. In this modern day and age, I think people are gonna look at that voice acting and go, what the hell is this? This is so bad. To where now we're talking like, as a product, as this product as a whole, is it going to make it better? Is the voice acting going to make it better, worse, or stay the same? And some people make the argument, this is a remaster, right? It's for the old fans. And like, when we talk about remasters, are they just for the old fans? Are they for new people? Or are they for both? And I think the answer is both. I think remasters are meant to, hey, those of you who played this game in the past, hey, look, we're bringing this back out. We've added enhancements. You get to play that game again, but in a modern setting. Right, because this isn't a traditional, hey, this isn't just an HD remaster. This is a remake, basically. But enough stuff is staying the same, I think, where they call it a remaster. But it's not an HD, it's just HD'd up, right? They've remade a lot of things. It brings everything. So you're obviously going to you want those old fans to come back. But if Dynasty Warriors is to succeed, because I think they stated, I can't remember if it was someone from Koei Tecmo, where in the company of development in this game and stuff said it, but they didn't believe that this game, Dynasty Warriors, is still not a successful series in the West when Dynasty Warriors Origins came out. And that's the thing, right? It needs more than just the old fans. It needs new people. It needs new blood into the franchise. Without it, the series will die, at least in the West, or at the very least, we'll lose the English dub, you know, and it'll just be Japanese. Why take the money to have voice actors to voice a game that doesn't do very well? And I don't want that to happen. So I think personally, right, if they were to choose to, hey, we want to redub it, okay? Because it's the other problem. Well, if you're going to redub it and it's going to sound just as bad or worse, then you might as well leave the original dub in there. And I think for me, when I say I want it redubbed, what I would prefer is you call up everybody that's on that Dynasty Warriors 8 cast that has a character in this game to play. And hey, will you reprise this role as Zhao Yun? Will you come back as Lu Bu? Will you come back as Xiahou? You know, all these voice actors, right? And redub it. I think that would be awesome, because I would love to see 3, 4, and 5 remastered with the dub that we like, the voice actors that we kind of associate with these characters. I'd love for them to come in, especially for those that didn't get a chance to voice those characters in these games. You know, like I said, Terrence Stone, you know, there are some characters that would be there, right, for like 4, for example, you know, or Jameson Price when he comes in 5. You know, he would just be redubbing these old lines. But I think especially for 3, it would have been a great, I mean, I'm sorry, but Jameson Price voicing Lu Bu in Dynasty Warriors 3 would have been amazing. Absolutely amazing voice actor for Lu Bu and voice actor in general. And one thing to keep in mind, and I didn't look at all of them, but I believe the Japanese voice cast has been the same for 3 onward. There might be a few changes here and there, but a lot of the cast is the same. They've kept a lot of the same Japanese voice actors. In Origins, they did change some, because some of the characters were redesigned, like Cao Cao, for example. But for the majority of the game, they kept the same. But English has gone through these vast changes, and I felt like we finally got to a point in 8 where we really started to get good voice acting, and it really started to kind of come together finally. Well, really was 6. I think 6 really started to start that process. But then when 9 just dropped the ball really hard. You know, I wouldn't want like 9 voice acting, and if they redubbed it in 3 and we got something like 9, that'd be horrible. And even Origins isn't quite there yet. There's a lot of voices I have problems with in Origins, but it is better than 9. And so when we talk about redubbing 3, it has to be good. It has to be good. And I'm biased. I like those voice actors. You know, when I can still hear Zhao Yun's iconic lines in my head, voiced by Terrence Stone, and that's what I hear. And so to hear something different, it's weird. It's just weird, you know, especially when a lot of those voice actors are really good. And they did bring some back for Origins, like Kyle Hebert. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but he voices different characters. And I think in 8 and stuff, he used to be Sima Yi and maybe a couple others, but that changed. So it's nice to see some of them come back, but I'd love them all to come back and reprise their roles, at least those that can do it still. And I think that would make the game better. I think it would enhance the experience to be able to listen to it and not be so put off by the bad voice acting. And I don't even necessarily have a problem with the words that are being said, even though they are kind of weird. You know, you get the iconic, like, "You flaming idiots," or, you know, whatever he says. You see so many videos of different voice lines, but it's the way that it's delivered that makes it sound really weird. And I think that delivery is what needs to change. And I'll pull up, as you can see in just a couple of these video clips, of just the kind of the difference in the original dub and the original Japanese.
Lord Meng-Hu, bad news! We're in trouble!
Don't you dare disturb my meal! Or would you prefer me to eat you?
I'm sorry, but there's a large army approaching from the east.
What? To the east? Those sissies from Wu?
That sounds very interesting. Perhaps we should oblige them. Get ready for battle! Quickly!
Yes!
もうかくさら言ってんです一大事でさ飯の邪魔すんじゃねえおめえが食われていいのかすいませんですが東の方から大軍勢が攻めてきてるんですなんだと東ってと5とかいう連中だな
面白いじゃないのさこの喧嘩買っておやりよ戦の準備だよ急ぎな
Lord, please wait! Now is not the time to attack Wu! We must join with them to attack Cao Cao.
Never! I will destroy Wu! Who cares about Cao Cao? I shall never forgive them. Never!
お待ちください殿今呉を攻めるのは上策ではありませんまずは呉と結び曹操を討つのが先決ですならん憎き呉を撃ち滅ぼしてくれる曹操など知ったことか呉と同じ天はいただかんそう決めたのだ
So in those videos, right, you can see, and I don't speak Japanese, and I'm sure that even the Japanese voice acting is probably weird. It probably comes across a little bit weird. Again, early days of voice acting, it's something to you grow and improve on, but it sounds significantly better. It doesn't sound to my ear like it's coming off super cheesy like it does in the English. And so I started playing it in Japanese, you know, going through and playing it again. And even with Origins, I know this is an Origins video, I switch it to Japanese because I just preferred to have that consistency with the voice acting. And sorry again, I know I ramble, I know I kind of go off topic a little bit, but that's really the point I'm trying to make is, does the original dub enhance the experience? Does it make it the same or is it worse? Or does redubbing it change it? Now I think redubbing it, if it's good and it's done well, it only enhances the experience. Now, yeah, it's not going to be the same. Doesn't have that same lines, you know, from the original, but that's the point. It's a remaster. We're bringing it back to the modern times, and we should be improving the things that were bad. You know, it's like, let's fast forward in time where Dynasty Warriors was somebody's first experience in Dynasty Warriors, and they remade it. You really want that dub back? Like, really? And on top of that too, sometimes the original dub, it can be nostalgic. And I use Dragon Ball as an example, right? I know, you know, it's not a Dragon Ball video, but a lot of people, myself included, watched the Dragon Ball Z dub and grew up on that and are very nostalgic for it. But the dub is horrible. It is bad. A lot of voice actors think it's bad who worked on that. The changes were horrible. It's a bastardized version of the series. It's different. But people get real attached to it who won't even go watch it in the original Japanese, or at the very least go watch Kai in English because it's more in line with the original Japanese and the manga. But people are so tied on because of nostalgia on the original dub, and they're not willing to go and see what the actual story is. What's the actual character development? What are the characters actually saying? Because they're so caught up on the nostalgia. And that's part of it. Is like, you know, it could be worse, but it could also be better if they change it. And that's something that's hard to do. It's hard to be like, and now I can't even really watch the enjoyment of the original Z dub. Kind of is not there for me anymore, just because now watching it in Japanese and reading the manga, it's just, the changes are too much. It's too much. Even though I'm nostalgic for a lot of the music and some of the deliveries that are there, I mean, it got me into Dragon Ball, but there's more out there and there's better stuff out there, like the original Japanese. And I think with Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered, I'd love to have seen them redub it in the best way possible. I would have loved it to be the best dub we ever got in Dynasty Warriors 3, or in the Dynasty Warriors series in general, sorry. Because I'd like to see that with the 3 Remastered, 4 Remastered, and 5 Remastered. I love 4. That was my first game. But I would not be upset if they redubbed it with the later cast. I would love that. Even though it's like, it would be kind of weird to play that game and not see the original, hear the original voices. But that doesn't mean it can't be better. I just want to share my thoughts. Like I said, I think the original dub is going to stay. And I think it's going to make a lot of people happy who played the original game, you know, or that was your first one into the series, you know. And I only hope that it doesn't deter newcomers from the game or hurt its sales because people hear it and go, that does not sound good. Looks good, but doesn't sound good. That's just what I hope the case. And some of you might be, who cares? It's a remaster. It's for us old fans. And yeah, I mean, it's for you too. But I mean, let's face it, the Dynasty Warriors series is failing. Was failing anyways. It seems like it's on an up and up. And part of that's their fault for adding mechanics into the games that people didn't really like. But it got stale and fans fell away. And so I think for, you know, the original fans of this game, I think we'll be happy with the dub. Like I said, I just hope it doesn't hurt the game and its sales, because I want it to succeed. You know, normally I'm not a sales person, and sales don't always dictate whether a game is good or not, but sales do dictate whether or not they're going to continue something. You know, the game may be good, but if it doesn't sell very well, probably not going to make a 4 remaster or a 5. You know, it may decide, you know, down the line, things that happen with Dynasty Warriors 10, if that's a thing, if that is a thing they want to make. You know, I wish the development team luck. I really do. And I hope they just make the right decisions for the game. You know, the game that they are making with this remaster, I hope that whatever they do, it fits for what they're making. And the dice will fall where they lie, you know? So do I want the original dub? No, I don't. On the caveat that they redub it and it's good. And they just have better direction. But I'm totally satisfied too with playing it in Japanese. You know, it's not going to hurt my experience if they don't. I'll just switch it to Japanese and play it in Japanese. Now, do I prefer that? No, because sometimes it's hard to hear what's going on because you got to read and fight at the same time. But I've done that in a lot of Warriors games that only have Japanese. But let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I'm not trying to convince you. This is kind of just a thoughts video, so it's a little bit rambly, but I don't really care. I'm going to say what I want to say. But let me know what you guys think. Are you happy that it for now, it's probably going to be the original dub? Like I said, things could change. Or do you wish that it was remade? Please respect your fellow fans. Okay, in the comments. You're not dumb for wanting one or the other. Okay, it's a preference. Okay, it's a preference to your ear, right? Especially for people who, I mean, may not have played this back in the day. And even some of you may want it changed too. Because I'm sorry, but it's not good. It's not a good English dub. It's bad. I don't think there's an argument there. It's more of just, well, are you so nostalgic for it because it's part of the original experience and people love the memes now that come from it. But does it really fit these enhanced visuals and all these enhanced mechanics? It feels really weird. I think it will feel really weird. But that's it for me, guys. Like I said, either way, I'm excited for it. The demo looked pretty good. Obviously, there's going to be issues, otherwise they wouldn't have delayed the game. But there's obviously issues they're working on. And I just hope it's good when release. I hope they take the time that they need, and I hope whatever they choose, when they finalize with the dub, that it benefits the game and it benefits the fan base as a whole. But again, let me know what you guys think. Do you want the original? Do you not want the original? What's your thoughts on that? And like I said, a lot of you guys may have insight that I've never thought of, that may change my opinion on it. Like I said, I am empathetic to you guys that want the original voices, that grew up with that love that. Like I said, it's a tough thing to have something like that different. We love voices that we know. Thanks you guys for tuning in, for watching. Maybe I'll do another video. I'm just talking about other mechanics, gameplay stuff. I don't want to make this video too long than it already is. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.